Welcome everyone to my channel. I'm Andrea, your automated trader. And if you like what I do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on my videos. In this video, we're going to see how the last week of trading went. And once again, we managed to close in profit. All right, let's start by saying that this was a very tough week in the markets because every time a directional movement seemed to be starting, the market would say, "Ah, no, just kidding," and go back the other way. So we'd start. We had moments where we were making a decent profit, and then within an hour, everything would reverse and we'd be back to zero. So all our profits would get wiped out. This pattern happened more than once this week. It happened on at least 2 or 3 days. And so that didn't allow us to make any big profits. During the week, we also hit a lot of stops because, as I said, the market wasn't moving the way we needed it to. But there was one positive element, which we're about to see now. And in a single trade, we recovered practically all the losses we made during this week. Why? Because we basically had a strategy with a very high risk to reward ratio, so it hit the target, and that allowed us to compensate for a whole series of trades that hadn't gone well precisely because of these somewhat abrupt market movements. Now let's take a detailed look at what these trades were. These are all the trades from the week. We can see we hit some targets, for example, here on gold. Some went well, some went badly, until we get to this point on the 15th where we hit a ton of stops, right? Like I was saying, because on this day, the market was moving a bit frantically. It would go up a bit, then come back a bit, and we couldn't do anything. But then look here, after that whole series of stops, a single trade on oil allowed us to recover almost 600 euros. Then if we take a look, that compensates for this whole row of red trades, meaning the ones that were losses. After that, we had a few more negative trades and some positive ones. We caught an excellent trade on gold where we made 350 euros. Gold was also always moving upwards, basically for the whole week, except for yesterday. But even there, the upward trend wasn't consistent. It would go up a bit, then come down, it would take us out, and then maybe it would start again and go even higher. It was all a rather peculiar movement, which in this case, we weren't able to capture perfectly with our strategies because we need more directional movements, strong trends. We can see that last night we still closed with about another 400 euros in profit, and this brought the week into profit anyway. Some of the strategies, as I was saying, work with this very high risk to reward ratio, as we've also seen in previous weeks. And this is what allows us to stay afloat during difficult market periods like this past week was. Because despite everything, we managed to close with a profit, which we can see here, of 290 euros after commissions. This is what will make the difference, because if we manage during the weeks when things aren't going so well to stay afloat, to stay close to zero or gain slightly, or even if we lose a little something, then there will be the weeks where everything goes in our direction, and that's when our account will take off. So the strength lies right in this, trying to lose a little in difficult times and gain a lot in moments when everything is working well. Of course, if someone were trading manually, perhaps in this situation, when they saw everything starting to go wrong, they'd get caught up in their emotions, maybe start opening random trades, change their strategy, do 1,000 different things, and in the end, do more harm than good. Since my trading is automated, that can't happen. We rely on our strategies, on our statistical approach that we've developed. And we know that when things aren't going well, we just have to wait, because sooner or later, everything will start working well again. Everything will align in the same direction, all the strategies, and at that moment, we'll have the big gain. This is the real difference that separates those who trade by hoping from those who trade, because they have a solid strategy and therefore have the ability to stay calm even in negative moments, because they know that in the future, everything will go back to how it's supposed to go, you see. So let's take a look at the report in detail. As I told you, we made 290 euros, and the profit factor is much lower than usual because it's only 1.14. The drawdown is always relatively low, and here in the graph we can see exactly what I was saying before, that we had days like here where there's this peak where we went very high right away, very quickly, and then we came back down because the market turned around completely. We then went into a loss, which are those trades we saw in the list. But then, as you can see here with this big jump upwards, they were almost all recovered with oil, which is that trade that brought the account up. And then we managed to close the week with the last 4 or 5 trades getting back above where we started. As you can also see from the graph, it was a very turbulent week. Looking at the symbols, we can see we made money on oil, gold, and the yen. We have the US 100, the euro dollar, and Bitcoin with the pound, which are practically at zero. We lost on euro yen, Ethereum lost one trade, and on the DAX we lost quite a bit because we lost around 300 euros. Here we can see how many trades we made. In total, we made 68 trades. Here is the breakdown across the various pairs we trade. So what we traded the most this week was gold with 17 trades. Here you can see all the other data. So all in all, let's say it wasn't a positive week, it wasn't a negative week. We basically closed at break even, but it could have gone much worse. This was a good result in my opinion because it shows us the power of diversification, of having many different strategies and using and trading many different instruments. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon for new content.